Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Not a Trekkie, an all Star Wars Everything podcast brought to you by Red Cyclone Inc. Everything from New Hope to Rogue One, even that solo one, from Anakin and Obi-Wan to Rey left being the only one now. I cannot stress this anymore. There is no hate. But this ain't Stargate, this ain't Star Trek, this is Star Wars. I am your host, Tenacious T. Alongside me, Viacom, the Merc with the mic.
What is going on, guys? We are back. We are back for another Trekkie episode, The Phantom Menace.
That sounds... I'm excited for this one because this starts the whole new trilogy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We just recently went through 4, 5, and 6.
Mm-hmm.
And now we are touching on to the prequels.
The prequels.
Which, by fandom, is not really the highest ranked of...
No, it's not. I honestly, it's still
movies.
not highest ranked to me. As in rewatching it as well, I was kind of a little disappointed with this movie. So it is directed by George Lucas.
Yes, he's finally back in the director and writer chair.
Written by George Lucas as well.
Exactly.
And then it came out May 16th, 1999. In United States. Runtime, it's an hour and it's like 2 hours and 10 minutes. It felt longer than 2 hours and 10 minutes.
I think it's 2 hours and 29 minutes actually, or 19 minutes or something.
It felt
I was just
a lot
watching
longer.
It like an hour ago. I was just watching it, so.
It felt a lot longer than 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Yeah, no, I felt like there was more. I don't know. It's not really fixated in one spot. You know what I mean? So it's like it's sort of a little bit all over the place. And I actually have a better appreciation for this movie. It's just these little things here and there that really fucking like tank it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's not the movie's fault. It's the fucking casting fault. You know what I mean? It's like, that's just the way I look at it. But
so, this movie, again, this is the beginning of the prequels. George Lucas did direct all 3 prequels.
Well, he had to get his shit back, right? You know?
Yeah. This started the 1999. This was also still 20th Century Fox and Lucasfilms.
We have this is one of the movies that I actually remembered when it came out. I remember the time frame. I remember all the toys that was coming out. You know, I ran into my boy Matty. We were at Kmart. I ran into him, and he was looking at toys, looking for this. You know what I mean? So, like, this is the first movie that I actually recall being around in the universe.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, when it first came out, the drop, the anticipation of it coming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, Star Wars was alive and kicking at this time, you know?
So I remember my take on this movie when I first saw it. I saw it on I saw 2 movies the same day. I saw Austin Powers and I saw this.
Austin Powers is funny because I just watched Austin Powers last night.
Yeah. So we went to a movie theater. It was like a $5 movie theater in the Bronx. We went to see this and we went to see the Austin Powers movie. I think it was the first Austin Powers. If not, it may be the second. I'm not sure when the first one came out, so probably was the second one.
First one came out, I think, 97, 98.
So it'll be the second one.
And then 99, because I just watched The Spy Who Shagged Me last night.
Yeah.
So, 99, so this was The Spy Who Shagged Me time.
Yeah, 99. Exactly. It came out the same. Came out the same month, I think. It came out slightly earlier. So we went to see both of these. So I remember that's what I remember seeing. We went to see in the Bronx. We went all the way deep in Park Chester, the Bronx, to see it in this shitty ass theater. But at least it was $5 each. So that's the reason why.
Man, you're always going after those deals, man.
Yeah.
I wish, that's one thing that Long Island doesn't have is really like good matinee times. Like I'll get a matinee for like $8.99 to $10. You know what I mean? It's just everything out here is just expensive.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So Star Wars Episode 1.
Phantom Menace.
Did you actually like? Okay, so this is the one where you got introduced more into Star Wars.
Well, I always knew the Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like,
no,
I knew
but more of you actually watching it.
Yeah. At the time, I still didn't even watch these.
Okay.
You know what I mean? When they were first dropping, I didn't care about Star Wars at this time. You know what I mean? Like, I did not give a shit. I was more, if I would have to say that I was familiar with anything, then it was familiar with the original trilogy.
Yeah.
I remember that. I remember that being in the background and seeing that. I did not see these movies until I was 21. Hands down, I did not watch any of them. I did not care. That was not my focus at this time. I'm a kid going through puberty. I had other things going through my head, per se. You know what I mean?
Abusing the penis.
Well, that's not the way I would like to, abstract that out there. But yeah. But like, there was other things going on, man. I was really into music. I was really into playing sports, trying to chase girls, introduced to other things that was going on in the world. But
hello, ladies.
But I didn't see it until I was 21.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So those were my first times. I do remember video games, and I remember stuff like that in the time of this. Yeah. You know what I mean? I remember the talks of it. I remember seeing it when it first came on TV, but I don't count that as a time of seeing because I really didn't even watch it. Yeah. And I think I turned it off right after the pod racing. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, I hated the kid from Turbo Man, from Jingle All the Way. It's like, I could not take his acting. It was just so bad.
I still couldn't take his acting to this day. Like, I feel Justin was a better actor than he was.
Well, for all people out there who don't know who Justin is,
from Power Rangers Turbo.
Yeah, he's Power Rangers Turbo. He's the little kid that turns into a big guy when he morphs. He's horrible, and I actually think I can deal with Justin more than him.
I feel like I could deal with Justin more than he can.
And that hit me in the gut when I just said that, man. Like, are you sure about that? I'm very sure about that.
Yeah, I'm positive. So, you want to get a synopsis going?
Well, I was gonna get into the cast real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
You know what I mean? We can.
You got Liam Neeson.
Yeah, Liam. I actually really enjoyed him in this movie. He's Qui-Gon Jinn, right?
Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah.
You said it right the first time. Yay!
Well, I can't enunciate things like that. You know what I mean? You look at it written down, and then you hear it a bunch of times. It's like.
But you got it right.
But yeah, Qui-Gon Jinn. Fucking, he's like the Jedi Knight, and he's training Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's not really training him. That's his apprentice.
Yeah, that's his apprentice.
With him, and that is Obi-Wan Kenobi, played by Ewan McGregor.
Yep. So one thing I'll give this movie credit with the whole Jedi having apprentice and things like that. They kind of hit on. Them having an apprentice, them having only one apprentice, and they kind of gave you the rules of a Jedi and how they get better.
This one we learned a lot more in this film than we have about the Jedi world.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So like this one for mythology purposes. Yeah. You know what I mean. Like we learned one. So this is actually pretty important. If you wanted to know more and more about the Jedi life, because we didn't really learn too much. We didn't hear nothing in the original ones.
No, we haven't.
The original trilogy.
So that's the reason why I give this. This is one thing I'll give the original trilogy credit, as in they kind of show you the procedures of being a Jedi and their traditions and things like that, which kind of makes it kind of like a religious thing more than anything. Which I was like, I don't know what I think about this, but other than that, it's still, and the stupid haircuts. Like, it's really dumb haircuts.
Well, you're looking at a world of aliens. I think their haircuts is probably the worst. I mean, the least.
I'm
just looking thing in this. Universe.
I'm just saying. If they was all right,
I know you just saying.
I'm just saying, if they would have came up to me and like, all right, you're gonna become a Jedi, but you gotta look like this. I'm like, oh fuck you. I'll
Like,
join the
listen,
dark side.
I have the Force within me already. You know what I mean?
I'll join the dark side. The dark side has cool costumes. I'll join the dark side.
We have Natalie Portman coming in
Yes.
as Queen Padme Amidala. Which
This was actually her first like role after a professional. Like she was hard. It
well,
was hard.
well,
It was
yeah,
hard for her.
She was in a couple of things. This is the biggest thing that she did.
Yeah.
Since then, she was in a professional, and she was in Beautiful Girls.
So before this, like again, there was I was just reading her interview, one of the interviews she has for this movie. This was like the first movie that she was able to do, like to pick, instead of actually having like people kind of like tell her what to do and shit, because she had issues finding work after the professional.
Yeah, I remember when The Professional came out.
I love that movie.
And I was so in love with Natalie Portman when I was a kid. She was one of those girls that when I saw her and stuff, and as my teenage years went on, I was just like, oh, there she is. I love her. You know what I mean? It was like her, Christina Ricci. It was Kimberly, Amy Jo Johnson.
Yeah.
Danica McKellar, which is the girl from the Wonder Years. Anytime I saw them in something, I was just like, oh my god, I love them. So she is still a celebrity crush of mine today. So when I was watching it, sounds weird because she's a young woman in this.
She's like 18. She's 18 years old in this movie.
She's 14. She's 14 years old.
No, she's 18.
No, I'm reading it right now.
Yeah?
She's a 14-year-old queen of Naboo.
Yeah, but she was 18.
Oh yeah, she was probably 18. Yes. But watching the movie, she's a kid in the movie, so like it just, the young me was like, oh, I love her, you know what I mean? Because like, but
yeah,
I don't know,
she
like
was
just something about her, I just always.
So
always
what
loved,
you felt was legal, at least.
Yeah, at the time, the inner child of me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we had Jake Lloyd as Anakin Skywalker, which is probably hands down the worst thing in this entire movie. You know what I mean? Like. It was literally like Jerry Maguire, that little kid, fucking coming in and playing. This is the lore of one of the most iconic badasses ever, and you had such a fucking little monotone. I didn't believe his acting. He just sucked.
I think that was the problem with him. Like he just said the words. He said the lines. He didn't really have feeling into the lines and anything like that. And like throughout all this line, every single line he had, he kind of like do them all the same. Even if it was an emotional moment, even if it was a happy moment, it was all the same.
Yeah.
And I feel bad. I feel bad judging a fucking kid, but yo, you sucked.
Yeah. We had some reoccurring characters. We had Anthony Daniels come back as the voice of C-3PO. We had Kenny Baker back as R2-D2. We had Ian McDiarmid as Senator Palpatine and Darth Sidious, which he plays the same role in everything as he is the Emperor. I don't want to give obviously I just gave that away for all you that haven't seen the movies, but Palpatine and the Emperor are very big in the world of this. This is literally their world. You know what I mean? If there's one consistent thing, is the dark side against the good side, the light side, and who is the face besides Darth Vader? It's the Emperor. You know what I mean? So we had him come back. Everybody else really doesn't. We had Frank Oz come in as the voice of Yoda, and then we had Samuel L. Jackson. You know what I mean? Which has to put his fucking stamp on everything he does. And he's Mace Windu. Everybody else, they're just supporting characters, and I don't care to mention them any longer. So.
Yeah.
So let's get into the movie itself.
Synopsis. I'll give the beginning of synopsis and go from there. The Trade Federation upset orders in the Galactic Republic by blocking the planet Naboo.
Yeah, they did a blockade on them.
Yeah,
they didn't want them to do anything because they were actually staging up an attack on them.
Yeah.
So
In preparation for the full-scale invasion, the Republic's leader, Supreme Counselor Phidias Valamor, dispatches Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn and his apprentice Obi-Wan Kenobi to negotiate with the Trade Federation. Valorum.
Chancellor Valium.
Trade Federation, Vicacy, Newt Garney, Darth Sidious, Sith Lord. Yeah. And Trade Federation secret benefactor orders the Victor. What the fuck is that? Anyway, to kill the Jedi and begin the invasion with an army of battle droids. The Jedi's escape and to flee Naboo. During the invasion, Qui-Gon Jinn saves the life of Gungan, outcast Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, man, fuck Jar Jar.
And that's where it starts going down.
Well, start in the starting scenes. You know what I mean? You see like Newt Gunray, and you see Darth Sidious.
Yeah.
Now, if you're obviously everybody's familiar, hopefully at this point, of the old school stuff. You know what I mean? Where the Dark Force and the Darth Sith. You know what I mean? So they're basically telling, they're working for him. You know what I mean? And they're part of this Trade Federation, as part of this Grand Senate. You know what I mean? So what's happening at this time is that there's a blockade going on Naboo.
Yeah.
So we have we got Qui-Gon Jinn. Yes,
Quan. Just call him Quan.
Quan. I always fuck it up. Like no matter how many years I hear his name, I always fuck it up. But yeah, Quan. Him and Obi-Wan, his apprentice, they go in to talk to them. So this is like literally the opening scenes of what's happening. Their ship comes in.
Yeah.
And then you see a young Obi-Wan Kenobi, who's Ewan McGregor.
Yes.
And he's telling him, he's like, yo, like, I feel a disturbance right now. There's something going on here. And Quan is just sitting there like, yo, you're feeding too much into shit, bro. Just let's work at the matter at hand, and we'll worry about it. We'll worry about it afterwards. So they go in, and Sidious is literally like, yo, don't fuck with them. You know what I mean? Like, they are Jedis. You don't want to deal with them. And everybody, like, in this world knows the lore of the Jedis. You know what I mean? So, they're even afraid to go and meet them, so they send in droids and then they try to kill them.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So that's literally just how it opens up, how it starts. You know what I mean? So they escape, and then they go at the same time, because Darth Sidious knows that now the Jedi is on to what is going on.
Yeah.
They send an attack fleet down to Naboo.
Yeah.
So, Quan and Obi, they go down literally when the shit is just about to hit the fan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they run into fucking Jar Jar Binks. Yeah. Quan had the best line ever when he met him. He was just like, yo, just because you talk does not mean you're an intelligent being, okay?
Yeah.
Like, leave me the fuck alone.
So Jar Jar Binks brings them down to the underwater city of Naboo. The Jedi try to persuade the Gungan leader, Boss Nasa, to help the planet's surface dwellers, but are unsuccessful. However, the Jedi managed
basically, the people up there didn't give a shit about them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that underwater city looked really cool.
Yeah, it reminded me of Aquaman kind of shit.
Yeah, well, I don't fuck with Aquaman at all, so I don't want to put anything that relates to that.
Yeah.
So, but it's like literally, like I'm a big Ancient Alien fan. You know what I mean? And I can actually see like something like that going down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it wasn't even bubbles; it was just like a force field that you can go through. It's just literally like a bubble that you can walk into. You know what I mean? So basically, they asked for their help, and they shut them down. Like, fuck you, we're not dealing with this shit. We are our own thing. We'll let everybody else get destroyed. You know what I mean? Like, screw you. So they were actually going to kill Jar Jar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They didn't like him. They didn't want nothing to do with him. And Quan literally saved his life. He was like, well, he owes me a debt. I saved him, so now he's my servant.
Yeah.
And he Jar Jar was like, yeah, I'd rather die in the core with these guys than fucking die by your hands.
Yeah.
So they end up going to try to get to the other side of the planet so they can meet up with the Queen Amidala. So they take the transport through the core, which we get to see. What is that? That is our big monster of the movie. You know how every movie has the one big monster, and it was like that. Yeah. We thought it was that fish at first, which that fish was literally resembled after an actual real fish that was extinct on Earth or some shit like that. I forget the name of it, but. Yeah, and then the bigger one. There's always a bigger fish.
There's always a bigger fish.
Always a bigger fish.
Many moons ago.
Many moons.
There was the biggest fish ever.
But so they go and meet up as the Queen is being escorted because she wants to go and talk to the Council of Senates.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the droids that are attacking Naboo are attacking the city, and just so happens Quan and Obi-Wan come hopping in to save the fucking day. Which this scene, it was corny to me because like you got to see them use the Force. Yeah. Right. But the Force, like, it just looks so weak. It looks so.
It looked like a fart.
Yeah, it's like poof at you. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't believe any of that.
So,
you know what I mean? So,
my issues, and I'll go with this, and it's going to go throughout the entire movie, is the fight scenes. I feel like they were too choreographed, and I feel like they were too fake. There was no emotion into the fight scenes.
Yeah, no, there was, well, some of them. I will disagree on a couple of them.
I will say all of them. Like, most of the fight scenes didn't have that emotion, and it didn't have that, like, attack. Like, if you want to kill someone, you won't see that face. Everyone had like the same face and just like and go kind of thing. And that was my big problem with it. And this was one of the scenes that I could agree with as well, is the fact that it was just like move.
Yeah. See, what I hated also was the droids. The droids, they just reminded me of just a mechanical fucking Gundam.
Yeah.
Gundar, whatever the hell they're fucking called.
Gundam?
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's like they're literally looking at the Terminator of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it was just corny, and there's no bulk to them. They can't really smack people around because you can literally break them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it irritated me a little bit, that scene.
The thing about those droids, I think what made them more deadly is the fact that, yeah, they looked like they were flimsy, but they were ordered to attack. So no matter what, there would be more numbers of them than anything.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just made for bulk presence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just go and destroy shit.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing, is that they would keep coming and coming and coming, and you keep trying to destroy them, they would keep coming, kind of thing. I think that was their purpose.
Yeah, just they're probably recycled fucking things. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But so we hop in our ship and we're leaving Naboo because she needs to get the hell out of there. You know what I mean? Like, she's the newly appointed queen of Naboo.
And during this time, they honestly is not the actual queen that's with them the whole time.
Well, we don't know that yet.
We don't know that yet. I knew it.
I didn't. I mean, I knew that because, like, I learned the history of it before I was watching it. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Keira Knightley was that.
I was waiting for it to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So basically they leave. They hop up on their ship, and the whole planet is covered by a blockade.
So beyond the blockade, I just want to give the example of Queen Amidala. Like, she does have like all these like royal servants around her, and like through all this time, she has like an entourage, like every rapper there is. They'll have their entourage. She had the entourage wherever she go.
Well, you know, she had her
people,
her servant.
Yeah.
Padme, which is her servant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They had her, and I thought Natalie Portman, like her representation of the queen, like the way they dressed her up, I thought she was badass. You know what I mean? I thought she looked cool. She was very monotoned, never really showed emotion. Even when she's yelling at somebody, she didn't raise her voice. You know what I mean? Like, she just was very toned down. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like I liked the way she looked.
Yeah.
I liked all that, and I'm sitting there and I was looking at it a couple days ago when I was watching it.
Yeah.
I was like, that was Natalie Portman playing both roles, right? Because sometimes they'll get somebody that looks like them.
So you could tell, honestly, you could tell, and the person they had that played her while she wasn't her was Keira Knightley.
Keira Knightley's my girl. And
Keira Knightley was her when she was a few of the times that was her, and they look very similar to each other. So honestly, I think she did a good job in just like portraying that what Natalie Portman was, but you could actually tell, like if you really look at her face, you could really tell.
Yeah, I mean, but they do have very similar features.
Yeah, they do.
Know what I mean?
No. That's the reason why like Keira Knightley was perfect, because you honestly, honestly, when I first saw her, you probably had no clue, unless you know
I thought
who
it was
Natalie
like a
Portman
split
was.
screen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I thought they did like a split screen kind of thing.
No, but there were scenes that you see Natalie Portman on the side, and you know who's Natalie Portman. And I'm like, all right, that's Natalie Portman over there. So who's that?
Yeah. Well, because this is the infancy of CG and stuff like that. You know what I mean? This is when CG is starting to roll out as the new thing. So I can't take anything seriously.
Yeah.
You don't know what is what. You know?
No, it's just especially in the first scene, like I see Natalie Portman on the side.
Yeah.
I saw her character right on the side of her, and I saw the person like acting as the queen. So I kind of got her there. Like I saw her there. I was like, all right, that's Natalie Portman there. So who's that?
Yeah.
So but that made sense. It made sense through what was going on, that she always had to be protected, so she always had to decoy wherever she went, kind of thing. It made a lot of sense.
And it paid off. It paid off in the end too.
Yeah.
You know, like that decoy was probably the most genius thing in the whole movie, I think. You know what I mean? Because it was sort of like a mind fuck when it actually was disclosed what was really happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, everything's going under attack, and they happen to transport the Theed. They're trying to go to Theed.
Yeah.
To just to save her and stuff like that. So as they're leaving, the ship got attacked by the blockade that was going on, and their shield and their hyperspace that they go into, that mechanism was fried out. So they sent all the droids out, and this was the introduction of probably single-handedly the savior of all Star Wars movies.
Yes.
Which is R2-D2.
Yes.
Comes out.
R2-D2 has been in every single Star Wars movie.
And Kenny Baker was in him for every single one, except for The Rise of Skywalker, because he just passed away right before that happened.
Yeah. Because even R2-D2 was in Rogue One for a little second.
Yeah, no, well, his model is very, very known. You know what I mean? There's the black one. There's the red striped one. There's a whole bunch of them.
But
and
him
that
as R2-D2.
That same kind of droid that was in A New Hope.
Yeah.
That he actually got picked over R2.
Yeah.
That model was with him too, and it was cool because they go out onto the ship and they're trying to repair this, as there's a firefight going on, and R2 is the only one who survives it and single-handedly saves the ship. But because of the hyperspace on the thing, they can't go into light speed. Because that got fried out. So what is Quan his thing is how. Yeah, no. Well, I'm just gonna say Quan from now on.
Yeah, Quan's fine.
But Quan, his idea is, all right, how about we go to this Trader Island of Tatooine, which we all are familiar with Tatooine at this point. You know what I mean? Tatooine. Many moons ago.
So if you want,
what I mean?
if you want a gist of this movie, like in a song, just hear we are Yankovic's Star Wars song, and you'll get the whole gist of this thing.
Well, Weird Al has a way of doing things. You know what I mean? So, but they're like, the Queen's faithful services. They're like, no, let's not land on that planet because we don't know what's going on over there. Quan is like, well, this is not ruled or governed by anybody but the Hutts.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, that's fucked up. We don't want to deal with the Hutts. He was like, well, what are we gonna land on a planet that's already dealt with the Federation? Like, if we land on a planet that's not looking for her, we're safer that way. You know what I mean? And Quan even put it in the movie later on. That was the Force willing that to happen. The Force is what brought them to Tatooine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they land in Tatooine, and what you call it? This is the first time that I think I saw a droid was actually getting recognition for something. You know what I mean? Like Padme's literally like, you know, R2D2, you saved the day, you shall get cleaned up, get honors and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Which I thought it was a good nod to R2D2 because this fucking droid in the original trilogy literally is the only thing that saved the day. He saved the day every single time, and here he is in the opening segments of episode 1, and he's already saving the day. Yep. You know what I mean? So like to give a nod to him and stuff like that, I thought that was cool. You know what I mean?
R2D2, the true MVP of Star Wars.
Yes, I completely 100% agree with that.
If there was a trophy, he'll get it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like he is single-handedly saving lives left and right, as other droids are falling down to their knees.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So they land on Tatooine, and they go to Mos Espa.
Yep.
You know, so to go and find parts and stuff like that. So they go inside this little shop, and this is where we get introduced to little 9-year-old Anakin Skywalker.
Fuck that kid.
I just wanted to punch him in his mouth the second he opened up. Second he said his first fucking word, which was, "Are you an angel?" Man, if I was Padme, I would have just punched that little dude right in his fucking nose.
But
like, shut up.
It worked.
well, in the grand scheme of things, yeah,
it worked.
It worked.
It worked.
She ended up caring about him.
She was feeling for that 9-year-old. She was like.
She was 14. She wasn't dealing with that shit.
She was feeling for that kid.
I don't know anything about that. I choose to believe she never liked him.
She never liked him until she had his twins.
Yeah, well, that was the Force maybe working that. You know what I mean?
You will love me.
But
you will love me.
Well, no, she won't. Fuck him. All right. But we get introduced to Wati.
Yes.
Wati is the guy.
Good?
Wati is the owner. You know, like I liked Wati. It's just his CG was really bad and it pissed me off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Wati is technically the owner of the shop and the owner of the slaves of Anakin Skywalker and his mother Shmi.
Yes.
Every time I heard her name, I was like, Shmi, what about Shmi? Shmi.
And then every time, what you doing? Hey.
It was just, see, what I liked about Wadi is that he couldn't be influenced by Jedi mind tricks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he was like, oh, so Quan is literally trying to get parts for the ship. And he's like, well, how are you going to pay for this? He was like, well, I got fucking 20,000 Federation dollars. Da, da, da. He's like, no, we don't fuck with that shit over here. You know what I mean? He's like, we need something else. And then, he tries the Jedi mind trick. Yeah. He's like, what are you, a Jedi? That mind trick shit don't work on me. All I care about is money. I was like, yo, I respect the shit out of this guy right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we got Jar Jar and Padme and Anakin Skywalker. They're inside, the thing, and he's talking about how he's a fucking fighter pilot and he's this. I'm like, bro, you're fucking 9 years old. Your balls haven't even dropped yet.
I could do that. I could do this. I'm best at that.
Look at my Matchbox collection.
That kid was so naive. Like, he was just mad, like, fucking cocky as shit. I'm like, God
but
damn,
that was
dude.
a little kid, man. That's what little kids fucking do, these pieces of shit. You know what I mean? He pissed me off. So just listening to him talk, it's just like, I did not believe a single word he said.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But at the same time this is going on, those Federation dudes that was in the beginning that was supposed to trap them, who was literally ran by Darth Sidious.
Yeah.
They're having a meeting with Darth Sidious, and this is where we first get our view of Darth Maul popping in.
Yes.
You know what I mean? He's like, yo, my apprentice right here. And you know they're the blue ghosts. If you listen to our last cast of the spoofs, you know, you're not a Jedi or a Sith unless you become a blue ghost.
Yeah.
At one point in time, you know what I mean? But they were actually holograms, but we actually got to see him for the first time. Like, oh shit, who was that? Like, that was just all of a sudden the introduction to like this next badass character that was about to come in. Because I love Darth Maul.
Yeah.
I think Darth Maul is one of the biggest badasses to ever enter cinema, and he didn't even have a chance to really shine. You know what I mean? I was really upset about that. But yeah, they were talking about, you know, they're trying to get a hold of Queen Amidala just so they can sign the treaty, because they're trying to wipe out shit. But
they're trying.
Yeah, they're trying. But yeah. So basically, Quan is literally standing there, and he's feeling like this force with this kid. He was like, yo, there's something with him. You know what I mean? There's something going on. And at all this time, and I'm thinking, you know, Obi-Wan Kenobi is supposed to be like this major thing. Like, he's not even really in this.
No, he's not. He's like a side character in this movie. It's
you know, like,
it's the Clone Wars and the other ones. That's where he gets his shine.
Really came in, you know. But my first time ever watching it, I was like, this is supposed to be like the origin of, you know what I mean, like of all this. You know what I mean? So I'm like, where's Obi-Wan Kenobi besides telling Quan that he shouldn't be talking to the Jedi Council the way he does? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So basically, he wants to free this kid because he feels that the Force is strong with him. He even fucking steals his blood.
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, he's like, yo, and what the hell is
So when he first meets the kid and shit like that, they go to the house. They let them stay with them and everything like that. He asks the mother, who is his father? And
she was like, there is no father.
So he took the blood of the fucking kid without the kid's fucking permission. Like, yo, check this shit.
He took it. He was like, what did you just do? He was like, oh, I took your blood to see if there's any infections. Like, no, motherfucker, you didn't.
I came to see who your daddy was.
I am your father.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
What does he do? Yeah, but basically, like that, because from basically what the mother said, he didn't have a father. She was just bearing him, and he's there, and it has been taken care of him.
So what happened was, a Jedi came to Tatooine. He was like, yo, hey, what's up?
Hey, what's up, baby? They drank some of that blue milk and got it on.
There you go. You know
what I mean?
And there you go. Anakin Skywalker.
Well, Anakin Skywalker's a piece of shit at this point in time. You know what I mean? But so you know, I'm trying. I have it written down. What the name? What is inside his blood? It's
I forgot the name too. I had it in my head for a few, and then
I had it in my head too, and it pisses me off because I never stood to learn it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's neither here or there. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
So basically, he has the element that goes inside cells. This living being that's inside cells of the Force and of the Jedi. So they test it, and he sends over it to Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Obi-Wan's like, wow, this is it's mini something. I know it starts with an N, but he was like, wow, there's over 20,000 of these things inside his cells. That's even more than Master Yoda.
Yeah.
He was like, wow, like how is this even possible? So they devise a plan to try and scheme Wati out of enslaving Anakin, and we're on a planet of trade, so everybody in the planet is fucking greedy, and all they do is bet. You know what I mean? So basically, he pulls like a Godfather kind of thing. It's like, I'm gonna give him an offer he can't refuse. He literally gave him an offer to like have him I got the fastest thing in the world. I just need Anakin to do it, so that's your slave. You have him do it. If I win all the money, but I give you the money that it paid to fix what I needed to fix, and then, you know what I mean, you get to keep whatever's left, basically. So he was like, oh yeah, hell yeah, I'll take that bet, because basically he was just making out on it. He was always, you know, he was gonna make that bread.
Yeah.
Regardless. But now we also got an introduction to another famous character in the Star Wars world. We have C-3PO.
Yes, he was building him.
He was building him. We find out that Anakin Skywalker was the one that was building him. And then they had an epic meeting of two worlds together where C-3PO meets R2-D2 for the first time.
Yes.
And what does R2-D2 say to him? You're naked.
Yeah.
He's like, why am I naked? He's like, because all your inside parts are showing. You know what I mean?
I feel R2-D2 was the sarcastic asshole.
Yeah, no, bro. Those beep boops are him totally talking shit.
Yeah, he's talking shit. Like he was a sarcastic bastard.
Yeah, he definitely was. I love R2-D2 to death. I think he's the fucking man.
Like I feel like they don't translate him enough. Maybe
they should have like subtitles.
Maybe,
you know what I mean?
Maybe during the time when Luke Skywalker was self-proclaiming that he was a Jedi, R2-D2 was like, "No, you're not. You're a liar."
I feel you, but so you know, we flash over to a scene where Darth Sidious is walking with Darth Maul, and this is the first time you get to see him actually in person with that red fucking face and just, you know what I mean?
I understand why he don't have lines.
Yeah, well, he's not really the greatest of actors in the world.
No,
I don't really know him for anything else.
He plays silent types. Like, he plays Snake Eyes and he plays Darth Maul. Those are the only two famous scenes he had. Other than that, he can't tell for shit. Like, he has a strong-ass accent.
He didn't need it to do anything else. He just needed to wave that lightsaber like the G that he is. You know what I mean? But he goes. They have a meeting. He was like, "Well, we need to get Queen Amidala. Yeah. This is your time. Like, you are the best apprentice I've ever had, and this is coming from Darth Sidious. You know what I mean? So I'm not. He's not as animated as I am saying it right now. He's very. You are the best. You know what I mean? So. He's like, they've been hiding for 1,000 years. The Jedi Council, there has not been a Sith seen in over 1,000 years. So he's like, we need to get the Queen and let our fucking presence be known. And Darth Maul's like, fuck yeah, I got you, bro. You know what I mean? So they go through that hangar scene, and then they're walking through the city, and then Jar Jar Binks gets into a altercation with Shibuba, whatever the hell his name is, which is the guy who races all these pod races, because this is Quan's big fucking scheme to try and free Anakin Skywalker so he becomes an apprentice and stuff like that. The thing is with Shubaba, whatever his name is, he reminded me of one of the weasels from Harry Potter.
Roger Rabbit.
Yes, bro. One of the weasels from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I swear to God, that thing must have been like completely like based off of them, because he was a perfect representation of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I thought that was cool, and then we get we get to see Jabba the Hutt come in. This is when all the races start and stuff like that, and we get to see Jabba the Hutt's fat ass, and then what was that? Was that his girl that was next to him?
It looked like Miss Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah, it was like, because she had some titties, but then again he had titties too. So like I don't know what it was, but the Hutts was there. And,
I feel like they were family.
I thought Jabba the Hutt was hilarious in this
Yeah.
because he barely said anything. All he was doing is ripping heads off and throwing it at dongs and shit, and
Yeah.
tossing these things off the ledge. I thought it was hilarious. But then we get into the huge pod race.
Pod race.
And
Honestly, I will say this was my favorite part of the movie.
don't they have a video game?
Yeah.
Just for this
And
pod
it's
race?
actually a really good video game, too. It was one of their popular games, too.
It was N64,
It was
right?
Pod Racer, yeah.
And I think they had it on PlayStation 1 as well.
It's actually coming out on PS4, Switch, and Xbox, I think, next month.
That's what's up.
They're bringing it back, yeah. But the Pod Racers was actually a fun game, and it was actually a fun scene. I got more appreciation for the scene when I watched it this time. Like, I saw they kind of made it like a NASCAR race. It reminded me of like Days of Thunder and shit like that. It had the dramatic scenes and shit like that, and he fucking up his pod racer and all that shit. But
yeah, no, I thought that was probably the funnest that this movie got to. You know what I mean? Like, where you're like you're in it. You know what I mean? You're not sitting there trying to figure out what the hell's going on. You're literally sitting and enjoying. You know what I mean? Like, I thought it was really cool. And then the best part about it, the kid who plays Anakin Skywalker doesn't fucking talk at all.
yes,
you know what I mean? It's
so made
just
it even
him
better.
sitting down and made it so much better because he didn't say shit.
Yeah.
So I don't like that little fuck. You know what I mean? But he ends up winning it, which right before the race even happened, Quan tried to finagle. He was like, all right, well, how about you said that what's his face, Shibuba, he's gonna win. He's like, all right, I'll take that bet.
Yeah.
He's like, I bet you Anakin's gonna win. And if Anakin wins, fucking, I am gonna take both of them. I'm gonna take him and his mother. He was like, no, you'll only take one. And then he's like, all right, I want the boy. And then Wati's like, no, how about we do the chance dice, toss it down. Fucking Quan does he uses the force to roll it onto the kid.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of it, basically Quan completely won every single bet. He won the money.
Yeah.
He won the parts for his ship. He won the freedom of Anakin. And then Wati tried to screw him over and say, oh, well, no, the bet wasn't fair. And then he was like, all right, let's go to the Hutts. Let's go talk to the Hutts right now and see what the hell they got to say about it. And he was like, all right, get the hell out of here.
He bitched him out. Simple as that. He bitched him out. I was like, yo, let's go talk to the Hutts then. Yeah, that's why I thought you're a bitch.
You little soft motherfucker. You thought you was cool, Wati. But so a big celebration. They all go. They go back to where Anakin lives, and he was like, "Oh, but what about my mom?" You know what I mean? And she was like, "Annie, like, your path is set in front of you. This is what you're supposed to do and where you're supposed to go. Do not worry about me. Actually, don't ever come back to this planet again." You know what I mean? Like, I feel like she was just, like, that's one thing I can't stand about Star Wars. It goes into Catholicism a little bit too much. You know what I mean? And she's like fucking the Virgin Mary. You know what I mean? And the Virgin Mary don't really play a part in the story anymore after Jesus is born. You know what I mean? So it's like, all right, I did all I can for you. Now here you go. Which is the one thing that Anakin Skywalker holds to him that really, really shows that he wasn't ready to become a Jedi or start Jedi training, which we find out later when we go into the meeting with the Council of Jedis. And so they hop back on the ship after it's fixed, and they go into space. Which one little point that I like to make, which is attention to detail that I really liked, was when he's in space and Amidala, which is Padme, she turns to him. She's like, "You all right?" He's like, "I'm cold." It's like, it made so much sense. You've been on it was a 2-star planet, all covered in sand. All of a sudden, you're in the depths, cold of space. Like, it would make sense that you would be cold.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I thought that was really cool. I also like the conversation he had with C-3PO before he left. He was like, yeah, I'm going to leave you with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And C-3PO is like, I really hoped you finished me before you left. Because he's just walking around bare,
Naked.
Naked. But now, as they're going to the transport, though, I forgot before they went into space, as they're going to the transport, is fucking such a dope entrance of Darth Maul. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He's on one of them. He's on one of them gliders, and then all you see is Quan, and he turns to Anakin. He's like, "Yo, duck," and Anakin just ducks. See, like me personally, I hated that scene because Anakin just ducked.
You just felt.
Me, I would have looked around like, "What the fuck you mean, duck?"
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But he ducks, and then it was just the dope ass. I thought it was a really good scene. The fight between Quan and Darth Maul, because that finally showed what they've been sensing in the Force all along, that the Sith is actually there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like there was a quick little scene, and then Quan did the jump onto the ship. Like, yo, let me get the fuck out of here, because this is not my mission. My mission is to protect the Queen.
Yeah.
That's all they were there for. They're not there to fight wars. They're not there to do anything of the sort. But to protect the Queen, and now protect Anakin Skywalker at the same time.
Yeah.
You know what
I mean? Moving on.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with this. You know what I mean?
So we go into they're going to. I forgot the planet name.
Oh yeah, the thing inside the blood is the midichlorian.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So they saw he was a midichlorian, and he had like high things of the Force and everything like that. So pretty much they went to the Galactic Center in Valamor.
Yeah. Well, and, no, that's the senator.
Yeah.
This was
They went to the console. They went to the Jedi console.
Well, they flew there. That's one of the things that they went to while Padme was doing her thing with her peoples, her entourage. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So they were supposed to report back to the Jedi Council, and you can continue this. You were talking about it. So
So the Jedi Council they went to the Jedi Council.
Coruscant is the name of the planet that they went to.
Okay, cool. So Qui-Gon Jinn was pretty much gave Anakin to Yoda.
Yeah, well, they were telling that the Sith was there.
Yeah.
And they were like, yo, the Sith hasn't been around in 1,000 years. Are you sure? He was like, definitely. This guy had extreme abilities of the Jedi Force. Like, I felt it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Mace Windu was like, all right, we're going to have to further look into this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then this is when they, you can continue now.
They interview Anakin. And he seems very lost. He seems very scared. And Yoda was not really quite with him to be trained.
Yeah.
And, so they pretty much brings the Qui-Gon Jinn when he comes back. They pretty much tell him they really don't want him trained.
Not at all. Well, first off, they say that he's too young.
Yeah.
What is the age requirements to start training as a Jedi? That's what I want to know.
I thought he was older. I thought he was too old.
Yeah, no, he's not young enough. My bad.
Yeah, he's too old.
The kid's 9 years old. How fucking young does he have to be?
They started from birth.
You gotta come out the womb.
No, they started from
birth.
They started from like 1 year old, 2 years old.
Which it makes sense because Yoda tells him, he was like, "Yo, like I sense there is sadness in you."
Yeah.
He was like, "Yeah, it's like for your mother." He was like, "Yeah, well, that's a weakness," and I agree with Anakin Skywalker at this moment in time. He's like, "Yo, how?" He's like, "How is me missing my mother a weakness?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then Yoda tells him, "Well, it shows that you're scared, and scared leads to fear, and then fear leads you ultimately to the dark side."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But in my defense for Anakin, wouldn't love overpower more things than being scared? Like, he loves his mother.
He loves his mother, but it is giving him fear. That's the thing, is the fact that...
Because he's afraid of what's going to happen to
Exactly.
her.
He's afraid for her.
Yeah. But I don't see how that would. But that's love, though. Wouldn't that
It
be
is
love?
love, but he still has fear for her and her well-being
I mean,
over
I
there.
get that, but but then again, Yoda, motherfucker, should have listened to him. If you all see the overall outcome of what actually happens,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. But Quan is literally standing there telling him like, this is the prophecy.
Yeah.
This is the prodigal son. You know what I mean? This is him. It's like we need to look at this even more. He even turns to them and tells you, "Screw you! I'm going to train him anyway." And this is what we were saying in the beginning about how now we're learning more about the Jedi, of how like there's a certain standard of rules that you have to follow.
Yeah.
Like obviously now we have an age limit. You're not allowed to train more than one Padawan. You know what I mean? Like and he was training Obi-Wan Kenobi. And then like this is Obi-Wan's moment where Quan is literally standing there. He's like, "Yo, I don't need to train him no more. He's good.
Yeah.
He's learned everything he needed to learn. I don't need to train him no more. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take Anakin Skywalker because this is who I should be with." You know what I mean? So, I that whole council scene, like, I thought it was cool, but I just, I wanted to get more involved with the other people that were in the console.
I feel
all we had was Mace Windu and Yoda really saying something, and that dented head dude. I forget his head.
But those are the main saves though.
Yeah.
They were the main ones that had something to say and shit like that. I actually like the fact that they brought a whole console and stuff like that. It made me not like the Jedi console in that sense because they judge you by so many things and they don't see the better things. But then again, if you really look at it, and we looked at episode 4, 5, and 6, you understand Yoda's problem.
Oh yeah, you definitely do. But at the same time, the prophecy is fulfilled.
Yeah.
At this moment in time, because Darth Vader tosses the Emperor into the shaft.
Yeah.
So at the end of it, yeah, I mean, all in between the mass amount of people that were murdered.
Yeah.
In the process of him becoming the chosen one. You know what I mean? Which technically, I don't even think he really was the chosen one, but that's just me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't think Luke Skywalker was the chosen one either. I never
he was
cared for Luke Skywalker like that. He was a fraud.
He was self-proclaimed.
Exactly. You soft motherfucker. But at the same time, what's going on with Padme? She, which is Queen Amidala, we don't know. That's a different person at this time. You have Senator Palpatine whispering in her ear because they went to this planet so she can go and talk to the Council of Senates because Naboo's being attacked. And she's like, "There's people fucking dying here. We need to do something about it." Palpatine's in her ear like, "All right, well, if this council doesn't go with what you're saying, we basically vote for a new person to run the show."
Yeah.
Because Valerium is not, he's not doing what the fuck he's supposed to do. So basically, that's what she does. She goes in front of the Senate and tells them, the whole time too, this is all part of Palpatine's scheme, so he can get the rulership of the council. You know what I mean? Which I thought is genius, and he played against her vulnerability because she definitely is vulnerable because she is a queen of the people.
Yeah.
She doesn't care. She literally sits there. "Don't talk to me about all the bullshit that's going on. Like, we need to act now. And if you're not gonna act now, I'm gonna sit there and we're gonna vote on something else that's happening while I'm skating, while I'm fucking leaving this planet because I'm gonna go be with my people," which I thought was very noble of her. I really like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So at this time, the Council of Jedis tell Quan and Obi to go continue being the bodyguards of the Queen, and Anakin will not be trained.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he leaves off and tells Obi, he's like, "Yeah, well, I'm gonna train his ass anyway."
Yeah, he's like, "Fuck the console. I don't like the console anyway." I feel Quan-Gon Jinn didn't give a fuck what the console had to say.
Yeah, like he was all mighty and powerful, but he was probably like he in his head was like, I was the one that found him. He's like Morpheus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No matter what they said to you, I'm believing that Neo is the one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this is the same time that the Matrix came out. So it kind of makes a lot of sense. You know what I mean? How they played that role and pushed that in together. You know what I mean? So they all leave and then they go back to Naboo, where they go in front of well, we find out Palpatine's one of 3 people who's going to be chosen.
Yeah.
And then we leave.
Yeah.
We leave. We go back down to Naboo, and then the Gundams over there, the Gungans, whatever their name is, and you have Queen Amidala sitting there pleading with fucking new boss. Yeah, Boss Nass. And Boss Nass is laughing like, no, I ain't gonna do none of this shit. Da da da. Then all of a sudden, this is where we enter, where Padme comes walking in.
Yeah.
And if you notice, the second that she said something and walked right past,
yeah.
Queen Amidala, the girl who was playing her, just shut the fuck right up.
Yeah.
She said nothing of the sort, just stood there. And then, you know, the look on Quan's face was epic, because when they were on Tatooine and he was telling her, oh, this is best for the queen, this is best for the queen, and she was like, yeah, well, you don't really know what the queen wants.
Yeah.
Because this was her the whole time, you know what I mean? Anakin was shocked, fucking Jar Jar was shocked, everybody was shocked that she was actually the queen the whole time, which I thought was probably the best part of the entire movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
And finally, because of that, you know, the Queen of Naboo bows to the boss himself, and he was like, all right, because of this, I got you guys. Like, we're gonna fight. We all we do, like, we will fight for our asses off. And then he promotes Jar Jar to being a fucking general. Which, Jar Jar, I'm sorry, you don't deserve that shit.
But he got lucky in the fact that he got the Jedi behind him and all that shit too. So they were like, all right, the fact that you got the Jedi behind you, we got your back.
Yeah. Well, the sign of the Force, you know what I mean? Like, he knows now what it is. So.
Yeah. So, moving on.
Yeah. But now, Anakin, he has this one moment with Quan, where he actually talks about the midichlorians.
Yeah.
And this is where we finally get a detailed description of actually what the Force is. We learned in the original trilogy that the Force is this binding being that ties everybody together.
Yeah.
Like a force field, sort of like a God-esque kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he explained to him is that the midichlorians are these beings that go inside your cells.
Yeah.
And that whisper to your cells the way of the Force. So it's a living thing living inside you, sort of like a parasite, I would say, right? You know what I mean? And a parasite not necessarily in a negative way, but it's something that is living and it goes inside of you.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really important, because that gave us more of an insight of actually what the Force is, more in depth. You know what I mean? And so basically the Federation sends this huge big droid task force. Queen Amidala devises a plan to break into the palace to get to the Federation generals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Quan tells Anakin, he's like, once we get inside, you stay. You stay somewhere, you hide.
Stay in the cockpit.
Yeah, you stay in the cockpit. Goes inside the cockpit and accidentally hits fucking autopilot on the thing. Yeah. Which I know you have a big problem with this battle scene.
Oh,
and I'm gonna let
terrible.
you go off on this battle scene real quick.
Yeah, so I had a big problem with this battle scene because, seriously, I knew they were in the green screens. So when you're acting, you're supposed to not really tell me that you're on the green screen. Throughout this whole fucking event, I knew he was on the green screen. And that was my big problem. Wow. His one-liners, his things, it was just terrible. The whole fucking scene was terrible. And he was
infancy of this time, and he was just a horrible actor.
Yeah, he was just a horrible actor. Yes, he was.
I couldn't stand him.
Yeah. So, but it was a scene that pretty much he helped them with the space combat part of everything, and
Yeah.
yeah, it went from there, and they did what they needed to do in that sense.
So he was flying around and he's fighting. He's like, no, Quan told me to stay in here, and I'm going to do exactly what I'm doing. He's with R2D2 at this time.
Yeah.
Because R2D2 it's just one of those droids that hops in every fighter pilot, every fighting scene in space. You know what I mean? He's like the navigation. He's like Goose that doesn't die. You know what I mean? So they're having that scene out in space now. Now we're on Naboo, and tell me the setup scene with Jar Jar and his people and all the droids. Tell me that did not remind you of like Infinity War. You know what I mean? Like they literally set up the entire battle scene with like with the bubble going around, and then the droids came in. That whole scene reminded me of Infinity War so much. Like I feel like Infinity War sort of stole that a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if you get what.
Well, Infinity War was a lot older than this.
Infinity War, yes, but the way they filmed Infinity War, like that scene where Wakanda is behind the force field, like this was sort of that, you know what I mean? And they start battling and fighting back and forth. They ain't really no dramatic battle. It's not like blood drenching and stuff like that. At the same time, you got Queen Amidala who's going with Quan and Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then all of a sudden you see Darth Maul pop back in.
Yeah.
And then she was like, all right, we're going to go the long way. And then the Jedi's like, all right, we're going to handle this motherfucker. So Queen Amidala and her trusted disciples, they go and try and sneak their way into the palace, basically bunker room where what's called it's being held. And which is a really dope scene that I like because they actually finally used the decoy as what the decoy is meant to be used for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the girl who originally played Queen Amidala, like, she signed up for it. Like, at any moment you could die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's finally, instead of her pretending to be her, she actually, fulfilled her part where it led all the other army people away while Amidala and everybody else got everybody trapped in and was able to actually, stop them. But now we go into this. I think it's a pretty epic scene. I think it's cool. I know you have your problems with it, but like in the lore of Star Wars, at this moment in time, we haven't really seen too much fast, youth energetic Star Wars moves. You know what I mean? Like everything's been like you say it's choreographed, which I do understand and feel how you see and feel what you think about that. But just to see them move, you know what I mean? Like Quan and Obi, they meet up with Darth, and then they start fighting. Then they get separated between those laser doors, which I thought was so cool.
Yeah, because you had to wait for timing for that shit to open up again.
You know what I mean? Like, Obi-Wan got stuck in the back while Quan was up closer. So Quan, he's like meditating while the thing is closed. And then once it opens up, he goes in and just attacks like a fucking pit bull. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then Obi-Wan couldn't get all the way to the front, so he got stuck behind the force field. And then we have the scene with Darth Maul and Quan Gun fucking... I was gonna say at the end of it, like fucking King Jong-un, but what I really hated about that scene is that how Quan got killed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he just got stabbed in his chest, right? So he's just laying there for like 10, 15 minutes, waiting for fucking Obi-Wan to come through. And then Obi-Wan comes in and starts fighting and busting his ass, and then slices Darth Maul in half, and then not in half, but he slices him. And then he goes down, he falls into the shaft, which every bad guy ends up falling into the shaft for some reason. And then the whole time, Quan is just laying there, but he's alive. So he walks up to him and starts talking to him. He's like, yo, you're a Jedi Knight, da-da-da-da-da. They have this really weird, awkward, like, love moment.
Yeah.
And it's like, yo, the whole time, like, bro, you were just, or you were stabbed by it, but you had enough strength. You could have done something. You could have forced willed something to happen. You know what I mean? I know you have your whole big problem with
Yeah.
it, so I'm gonna let you
So
go with
my
that.
big problem with it is the fact that the lightsaber scenes looked extremely choreographed. They looked like a 1-2 cha 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 kind of thing, as in they all went into movement. There was no like anger. There was no like force on each other when they did the lightsabers. It was just like a tap 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 kind of thing. It was not even a fucking like it didn't look like no one was trying to kill each other.
Well, I agree to an extent. I mean, it did look very held back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it did seem choreographed. I just don't understand how two Jedi Knights can't overpower one.
No,
You know what I
and
mean? Like,
I agree with that as well.
you have two people that have the power of the Force at the tips of their fingers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they can't, and they're not able to overpower him.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to see a dope ass lightsaber, a double-sided lightsaber, which was cool as hell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know, like I thought that was cool, but you know, I guess Obi-Wan needed Quan to get killed.
Yeah.
In order for him to keep going and then fulfill the legacy of what the prophecy is.
Go ahead.
You know what I mean?
I gotta go to the bathroom real fast.
Yeah,
Keep
man, do
going.
what you gotta do. Quan gets stabbed and he's just laying there. And then Obi-Wan, like I was saying before, he was sitting behind the thing. What I really liked about that scene, though, is that when he hopped back in to fight Darth Maul still had his double-sided lightsaber. You know what I mean? And so he sliced the lightsaber in half. So, like, it just showed the will and the anger that he had while watching Quan get stabbed. But my problem is with Quan getting stabbed, that man could have done something. You know what I mean? But what ended up happening, Darth Maul actually had the upper hand over Obi-Wan Kenobi and knocked him into the shaft where Obi-Wan Kenobi drops his lightsaber. And his lightsaber goes down the shaft. So he's sitting there and Darth Maul's about to knock him down, and then he uses the Force to end up taking Quan's lightsaber. So, Obi-Wan's lightsaber that he has later on through the series is actually his mentor's lightsaber, which I thought was really cool. And I'm really upset that we were short-handed Darth Maul, because I feel like his story, he could have kept going as a progressive, you know what I mean, like as a progressive villain and getting worse and stuff like that. I feel like Darth Maul, his potential was not there. Like, they did not shine with Darth Maul's potential. Like, he was in it for a little bit and then he got killed off. Darth Maul could have been this badass motherfucker that raked through the entire entire trilogy.
Yeah, I feel
I mean?
I agree with that. He was a badass looking character.
He was so shortchanged, bro. Like,
Yeah.
he's like Boba Fett to me. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to know more about this guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I was saying before, Obi-Wan lost his lightsaber through the shaft.
Yeah.
So he ended up taking Quan's. He used the Force to take Quan. So now throughout the next two movies, you know that Obi-Wan Kenobi is using his mentor's lightsaber, which I thought was pretty cool because it's like passing the torch.
Yeah, and if you remember in episode 1, the Obi-Wan first gave. No, he gave him his lightsaber later on.
He gave him Anakin's
Yeah.
lightsaber.
Yeah.
But so at this time, Anakin Skywalker is flying through the ship. He ends up blowing up something which we've all seen before.
Yeah.
Every fucking starship seems to have one faulty thing that they end up destroying that blows up the whole fucking thing.
Bad mechanics.
You know what I mean? But as much as I hated the kid and everything like that, Anakin Skywalker, for his story, this was important because in all the prequels we learned that, not the prequels, in 4, 5, and 6, we know that Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, is one of the best pilots who ever lived. You know what I mean? So it's like, that was important to show that even as a kid, he was very passionate about being a pilot. You know what I mean? And then, boom, after that thing blows up, all the droids on Naboo end up going down, and basically we have a big ass celebration, and that is literally the Phantom Menace.
Yep. So Phantom Menace, in this sense, like I agree with the whole thing with Darth Maul. I think he could have been a bigger character. I think
it was just such a missed opportunity. Yeah.
So I think if you go into the cartoon series that Clone Wars right now, like he's a bigger character than he is in the movie. But we'll get to that later into this fucking podcast.
The show on Netflix, right? Like Rebel Ones.
No, it's Clone Wars. It's called Clone Wars. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I know of it. I just never seen it. You know what I mean?
Darth Maul he returns and has a bigger fucking presence there, and you see how deadly he fucking is, but the thing is, it's hard to really say that because again, he didn't get much of a chance. I felt the fight scenes weren't the greatest. Like I felt like it was like a 1-2 cha-cha-cha kind of thing. Like it did not look like there were. It looked like no one had anger with each other. It looked like no one really was pissed off at one another.
Well, the Jedi aren't supposed to get mad. They're supposed to be conscious of their surroundings.
But you just killed my master. I ain't angry. He didn't show no anger, no remorse.
I just wished he would have chopped off both of his fucking ponytails. Like Darth Maul should have just
shaved him bald.
Let me fix that quarantine hairdo, like you so eloquently put it.
Yeah.
It was such a quarantine hairdo.
Obi-Wan Kenobi had a quarantine haircut.
It definitely did. As a rating out of 1 to 5, what would you give? Actually, 1 to 10. What would you give the Phantom Menace episode?
1 to 10?
Yeah.
Give it a 5.
I would give it like a 6.5. I would give it a little bit more because it gave us a little bit more that we never had.
Yeah.
Even though it lacked in certain things, we learned more about the lore of the Force. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you actually got to see the rebirth of the Sith, which I think is extremely important to all to the forever going story of saga of Star Wars. You know what I mean? What were give me some of your highlights and then give me some of your
my highlight. I think Darth Maul. I think he could have been better use of it. I think the power racing scene was one of my highlights. I like the Queen Amidala's character for the most part. I thought she was a strong character. Quan Jin was a strong character as well, but he was very naive and very like passive. Like there was things that he did that was like very relentless. Like it was very like reckless.
Yeah.
To a Jedi, to the Jedi mind kind of thing.
Yeah, like he neglected the fact that you're not the only person out here. You know what I mean? Like the Jedi have been a fully functional creed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like there's no one man above the creed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like he sort of went on his whim, on his own, and did it. And now we know that if he never would have done that.
Yeah.
Little Anakin Skywalker would have just been a slave on Tatooine for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That brought a lot of things that you had to put into perspective, is the fact that, yeah, he did that. He did that for them and everything like that. But it was just a lot of things with him. Like, it was just the character in general. Like, he was just very passive. He was very, like, all right, I don't give a fuck what they have to say. I'm going to do it my way and my way only. And, like, it makes it seem like the Jedi, like, Obi-Wan was kind of, and then Obi-Wan was kind of, like, relentless to what he had to say, and he saw, like, the mistakes and everything he has
like,
done.
Bro, you're not fucking listening to the people who are appointing you and telling you what to do. Like, you should listen. You should stop with your ego and listen. But then again, at the same time, like I said earlier, like, he had that Morpheus role.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where no matter what anybody told Morpheus, he was going to do what he was set to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Quan Jin literally felt that the Force was willing him to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So in his defense, I don't blame him, but we know what turns out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think my low point, 100 times, like, everybody hates Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah.
Everybody. He's probably the most hated character in the entire history of Star Wars, I would say. And I can understand because it's just like I already got to deal with this little fucking Yoda dude who speaks in tongues all day.
Yeah.
All right. I don't need a fucking dumb ass fucking rabbit-eared lizard to speak in tongues as well, and then have a whole community that I'm sitting there listening to them, and I still can't understand what the fuck they're saying.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't like that. I hated the kid who played young Anakin Skywalker. They could have done so much better. They could have had fucking anybody play him. You know what I mean? Anybody in the world would have done better.
I feel like
him.
you could have got a better child actor to play him. Like,
he was
worse than Justin.
It was so Jerry Maguire, bro. It pissed me off.
And even that kid was a better actor.
No, well, he was. No, he wasn't. He sucked.
I feel like he was a better actor than he was.
I think those were the bad, the negatives of it.
Yeah.
I think Padme. I think Queen Amidala. That whole segment and her essence in the movie and what she did in the movie was genius. I thought she was perfect. I thought Natalie Portman, even though I hear Natalie Portman is really upset with the fact that she is in the Star Wars world.
Yeah.
I heard that she hates the fact that she's in the Star Wars world. But I thought she was perfect. I thought she was good as hell. I really liked Darth Sidious. I liked Darth Maul.
Yeah.
I thought they were perfect because you don't want too much Darth Sidious. You want just a little bit enough to be like, who the fuck is this guy? You know what I mean? And you already know that at this time that a trilogy is happening. So it makes you want to see, like, all right, Darth Maul just got killed, and he was a badass motherfucker. Like, I want to know what's going to happen in the next movie, which is Attack of the Clones, Episode 2.
Yep.
So
Attack of the Clones will be the next podcast that we do of this Star Wars prequel trilogy that we're doing.
Not a Trekkie. We'll try our best because I actually really like Attack of the Clones. A lot of people don't like it. I like it. I like it a lot.
I thought it was a better movie than this one.
Yeah, I mean, like the pod racing part to this and Amidala are the best part. You know what I mean? And Darth Sidious, they're the best parts. With Attack of the Clones, there is so much more going in, and we get rid of the kid, and we deal with, Obi-Wan now is a little bit older. We have what, like 10 years passes,
and not a bad haircut. Anakin has the haircut now.
You know what I mean? And then we start going down the lines of more of the personality.
I feel bad.
Anakin Skywalker.
I feel bad. So pretty much, if you want to become a Jedi, you have to have a quarantine haircut.
A quarantine haircut, and basically do nothing the council tells you to do.
Exactly.
The only people who listen to the council is the council.
Yeah.
That's really it. You know what I mean? It's not the best of them, but if you would have to rank the 4 movies that we have seen so far, what would you be your order of the 4 movies?
Of the 4 movies, it would be
from worst to best.
Empire the best, New Hope number 2.
Because I know you don't like Return of the Jedi.
And I don't like Phantom Menace that much either.
I liked Phantom Menace somewhat better than I think it's more fun than Return of the Jedi. Because our top choices obviously are going to be Empire Strikes Back, New Hope.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's just because me and you both feel the same way about those 2 movies and their importance in this segment. I think that Phantom Menace is funner, but Return of the Jedi, the problem is with that is that Darth Vader ends up becoming a little bitch at the end, and I'm really upset about that. You know what I mean?
I feel there's more iconic parts in Return of the Jedi than Phantom Menace.
I agree.
And so that's gonna be my choice.
So that'll be 3, and then Phantom Menace is 4.
Yeah.
Like I agree with you. I actually went into this thinking Phantom Menace would have been 3, but actually thinking about it now,
Yeah.
To end that saga, even though it wasn't the greatest of movies, it was important,
Yeah.
and there was more um, cinematic value and remembrance and legacy through that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do enjoy the infancy of this world with number one, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's trying to give you a fresh take in 1999 time. You know what I mean? Not, in a world where now we are just starting to get into the digital age.
Yeah.
So, with what the time permits, I think it was the best version of what it could have done.
Yeah.
It's just they chose horribly for fucking Anakin Skywalker, man. If somebody else was Anakin Skywalker, the movie would have been a completely different.
Yeah.
But that is my take on this, ladies and gentlemen.
So,
the next movie, like we said, is
Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones.
Yes.
Episode 2.
Yes.
Which shit is about to hit the fan, if you guys know.
Yeah.
If not, go back now. You have all the time in the world during this quarantine that's going on to go back and re-educate yourself and educate the youth. Nowadays, everybody has kids, and it's very important to keep this legacy going.
Yeah.
I also dedicate my beer of choice for this episode to Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yes.
Broken Skull IPA. I went an hour out of my way to pick this beer up, and it was the best. Actually, it was 2 hours in total because it's an hour drive and an hour back. Worth every single every single moment of my life.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it. I suggest everybody go out, and if it's at a local distributor by you, go and buy it.
Yes.
Support Stone Cold Steve Austin.
It's a great beer. It is probably one of my favorite beers, honestly. Like, it's a really good one.
I think it's time for your forever outro of what you do.
Yes. So we're gonna end this cast. This is the Not Trekkie podcast. I'm Rick Mike.
Episode.
That is Tenacious T. This is the episode Menace.
Episode 1.
Defense.
Always and forever, I shall give a shout out to the person who single-handedly put me on and made me love Star Wars the way I do now. Because if it wasn't for him, and I will always give him this nod because he truly deserves it for my love of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Shout out to my man Mike Silverman, aka Mike Wazowski. Always a shout out to my brother who's been my rider man through watching this throughout the years. Me and him have dove into the Star Wars world head first, and we came out fucking, loving it.
Yeah.
So always give a shout out to them. I always give a shout out to Game On, which is a retro video game store stationed down on Long Island.
Yep.
If you guys have not listened to our former cast, please go back and listen to them, and you will know more about Game On and what they do. They focus on everything from PlayStation 3 and before. Yes, they have all kinds of games. They have new games, but they mainly focus on retro video gaming. So I suggest everybody go. You can go onto their Facebook now. They are doing shipping for people who are collecting while in quarantine. So if you want your kick, go hit them up on Facebook at Game On. Shouts out to Tristan. Love you, man. You're always a good dude. And yeah, go ahead, keep going, bro.
Follow us on all our social medias. Mark the Mike. You can follow us on Twitter, Tumblr, SoundCloud, YouTube, Twitch TV, all Mark with the Mike. You can follow us on the Facebook pages, the Red Cyclone Inc. and the Wrestling Babble pages. And always remember. And also follow everything Red Cyclone Inc. YouTube, Tumblr, Facebook, Tumblr, WordPress, all Red Cyclone Inc. These are the people that does the editing and everything like that with our podcast and all. And always remember, follow the Jinkies.
Make sure you go and check out Wrestling the Babble podcast. Make sure you go and check out Red Cyclone Inc., its own podcast. Make sure you go and check out Shell Shock, which will be broadcasting a new episode very shortly. We have the first 2 Ninja Turtles that are out. And then make sure you go and check out the Morphin Cast.
Yes.
Which this month's episode will be I can't enunciate it. That's where you come in.
Giga Ranger.
Super Sentai.
Genki
Yes.
Ranger. Yeah.
So please go like, share, subscribe, tell your mother, daughter, sister, brother's cat, dog about it.
All right.
Because we all know that Doom and Loki do enjoy watching Super Sentai. So you never know what animals will like these days.
Exactly. Loki loves Super Sentai.
I know. Every time you watch it,
she's with me the whole time when I watch it. So I actually have a buddy to watch it with. So it's great. All right. Peace out, laters, and again, thank you for listening.
Everybody be safe out there. Okay.
Stay in your ass home.
Yeah, please. Social distance for a reason. Yes. All right.
You can social distance with the podcast.
Not just for today, but for tomorrow purposes. Please.
You can social distance with the podcast. So.
Exactly. Holler at us on all those social medias.
Yes. Peace out.
I am Tenacious T.
I am Martin Mike. Peace.